You are listening to episode 131 of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast, and on this episode, we're going to talk very briefly some more Sting. We'll avoid going down the rabbit hole of Nicolas Cage memes, tempting as it is, and maybe we'll get a little mention on Hookhausen. Are the memes real, Dave? Are the memes coming for us? That and more on this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast. Make sure when you do your intro, you don't get distracted by something off screen. I'm Carlos Estevade.
The memes are coming for you, Carlos. They are coming for you.
Fantastic. I am their king.
You do love yourself a good meme.
I do. Anyway, so how are things going, Dave?
Things are all right. I can't say anything is super exciting. Although I did create some artwork and send it off to get autographed by Sting this week. The aforementioned Sting. So I'm happy about that.
I'm sorry. Who?
Sting.
Who?
Sting.
Better. Get it right. Thank you. Good damn. Jeez. I only showed it multiple times. This is how you do it.
Yeah, considering you had to make a Black Scorpion reference where it was like 2 months of WCW career. Like, come on, man.
That's literally the most significant and important part, minus Crow Sting, of his entire career.
Yeah. Crow Sting lasted a long time.
And yet, the people, deep down inside, only really care about Sting. Continue.
Anyway, yeah, and then just trying to get some more time outside, basically, because the weather's been half decent, at least this weekend. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can't say anything super exciting, living in the realm of potty training a 2-year-old, so,
Live the dream. Hashtag don't have kids. Anyway, so yes, I too partook in going outside. Now, part of it was not intentional. Part of it was that Carlos Sr. basically hurt his back and then he hurt his neck so that he couldn't drive around. So his back is now feeling better, but his neck is still a little bit stiff and bugging him. So basically, I got a call going, hey, because they had grabbed some stuff at Costco before for me, and they had been holding on to it and say, hey, you want to come and get the Costco stuff? Yeah, absolutely. I'll walk over. No problem. Because I live close enough. I can just walk over. No big deal. They're like, can you grab us some groceries? I was like, really? So I got all my steps in that day, Dave. I got all my steps in. Yeah, well, first I have to go back. I have to double back because the plaza with all the grocery stores are over here. Yep. I grab the stuff, come back over, drop my own groceries off because I'm like, well, since I'm there, I may as well grab my own groceries. Yeah, so drop it off and then walk over that way and then drop off their thing. And I was like, really, guys? The good news is it's not warm, but the sunshine is nice. So yeah, with the sunshine outside, it was nice to go outside, get some air. I did take a walk around yesterday, which is nice. Today, I've been very tired, so I haven't done that. I'll take a look at how this weekend goes. If it's sunny and kind of in between, which is where we're at right now, it's good weather for walking outside, though. It's really good. It's really good weather to get some air and get outside. So I'm taking advantage of that as well. So that's good.
Have you been watching much baseball?
A little bit here and there. I am getting folks, though, based on my my YouTube channel live stream. I'm getting folks pinging me all the time, though, about Mike Trout, and that he's off to a good start. I'm sitting there like, he's had 50 at bats. You want me to give a shit about 50 bats? Okay, this is what you're bragging about. This is how bad. This is how far down we've gone down the toilet of Mike Trout. Is that he's having a great 50 at bats. He's hitting like 340 at 50 at bats. Really? Great. He's hit like 4 home runs or 5 home runs. Woo, man. 5 home runs. Oh,
Carlos. You and your Mike Trout hate.
It's glorious. It is glorious. As I mentioned, Dave, before we started recording, my hate has been right now. The stock in my hate is at an all-time high.
It's true. That is true. I do, since we're talking baseball briefly right now. I mean, this wasn't a thing, but I do want to give you credit for something, Carlos.
Before you give me credit, and this is crucially important, and I will always make time for you giving me credit.
All right.
So you're saying we're going to talk about...
No.
It's been a while since we've been able to, I've been able to use it, so continue.
True. No, a while back, too long that I got to it, but I finally started watching the Dorktown Dave Steeb.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Very highly recommend to anyone who is into baseball history or, the quirkiness of baseball history. Definitely. They're the same people who did the Seattle Mariners one, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So
they've got different folks on staff, but they've got a group of folks, and it's their style and kind of the way.
Yeah, they put on a good for a YouTube documentary that doesn't have any actual footage in like baseball footage in it. It's just images and stats and statistics and things. They do an excellent job, and they
What
keep it
what
interesting.
episode? What episode are you up to?
Just the first one.
Okay, so they do put a little bit of footage in a couple of the episodes.
Okay.
They'll
Yeah,
grab some clips to show some specific things.
that's new because they didn't do any of that for the Seattle one.
It's tricky because MLB has a very tight a vice grip on their copyright. They will allow under certain circumstances some stuff, so I think they've been able to incorporate it a little bit. But it's not like extended clips. It'll show certain clips to convey certain things that happen. You'll see a little bit of that in subsequent episodes. But it is, I do agree, and it is produced exceedingly well, and they do a very good job with the narrative of sharing Dave Steve's story. But as it goes on, what I found was very interesting is that as you go through the episodes, you'll get more of a sense of it. People really latched onto this because a lot of the commenters obviously didn't see Steve play. Steve kind of predates us a little bit as far as, even Blue Jay fandom, because by the time I was watching Jays games, Steve was basically at the end of the line. Like he was right at the end of the line. He was no longer any significance as really a big starter for them. Those days had passed. But he had a great body of work leading up to that through the 80s. And they do a good job encapsulating that, explaining it, give you context compared to some other folks in the 80s. And by the time it was done, a lot of the commenters were like, as the episodes progressed, a lot of the commenters watching it in real time as it was coming out were like, I have never been so invested in a guy I've never heard of. Which is a really good like tip of the cap to the producers of this documentary, that they're able to bring you into the guy's story, and by the time it's done, it's like you start sympathizing with this guy who's facing these challenges along the way and is not getting his due over and over and over again. So we'll come back to it when you get a chance to watch the rest of them. I do highly recommend it, and I would say
Yeah.
by the time we're done, though, I'd like to get your take on the overall, because as an overall package, I think it's exceedingly well done. Now let's get into Sting. What about him?
Well, I love Sting, and the more I watch Sting, the more I like Sting, and the more he's in AEW, the more I'm thankful for him being in AEW. So I have a couple questions for you, Carlos. First of all, would be, what's your favorite version of Sting?
So favorite
Okay.
version of Sting would be Crow Sting, just because it was kind of the ascension. Surfer Sting really didn't do much for me, although he had some great matches as Surfer Sting. His stuff with Ric Flair was exceedingly good. That was early on in his career as he was developing himself. He never really met his full potential, but part of that was WCW and the way they ran their business. But I will say he had a pretty good run there. The character development on Crow Sting was really good. The way they slow played it was beautifully done. It was beautifully executed. Now, unfortunately, I do think that this created a sense of superiority that Eric Bischoff likes to kind of take too much credit for. They did do a really good job building it up, but then obviously they didn't hit the landing. But despite that, I think Sting had a pretty good run there during that entire bit.
Do you have any feelings one or another towards Wolfpack Sting, NWO Wolfpack Sting?
NWO Wolfpack Sting does nothing for me. He was fine, but by that point he was stuck in the shuffle. If I was going to pick a secondary, I'll be honest, I didn't mind some of his stuff in TNA/Impact. I thought because he was still in his early 40s at that point, so he could still go in the ring. His stuff in TNA was weird. It was very uneven, but he did have some moments where he like had a lot of fun, because there was a moment where he basically became Heath Ledger's Joker
Yep.
as Sting, which was entertaining. It was ridiculous, but I feel like he had fun doing it because it was so weird. It was so off the wall.
Yeah. No. So where do you rank him up as sort of in the all time greats of wrestling?
He's in the second tier. The problem wasn't lack of talent, because actually he was pretty good in ring, solid. He was more of a bodybuilder guy when he started up. The problem that he had was that they didn't fully commit to him. If WCW had fully committed to him to being the guy after the Surfer Sting era, he should have been right up there neck and neck with Hogan. He should have basically been battling Hogan the whole way. The Crow Sting, like I said, was done very well. But once it was time to execute, they needed to get past the politicking BS that they did in WCW. He needed to beat Hogan definitively in that moment. And then obviously Hogan could do some shenanigans and try to take the title back and do things. And they could have a rivalry back and forth for a while. That's what, as soon as they basically nailed everything right up until the spot of the landing, and then crash landed and exploded.
I see.
So, like, imagine though, the Monday Night War would have taken on a different context if they had stuck the land, because right around that time that landing happened, I believe, if memory serves me on the timeline, I believe also Bret Hart was coming in at that moment, and Bret Hart was, I believe, involved in that championship match there, and that was a whole botch thing. So the Bret Hart introduction was botched. The Sting Hogan climax there for that initial run was botched. But imagine if you don't botch it and you use Bret Hart effectively, and now all of a sudden you got a potential top tier main event of Hogan, Sting, and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
That's a great main event picture, and it actually gives you more gas for the next couple of years as WWE is now building up with Hogan, Rock, and they've got their guys going on, and they're doing very well on their end, and Triple H to a lesser extent. But the point is that that's an extremely competitive group because Sting still has plenty of gas in the tank. Hogan is obviously getting on in years, but he's still a big draw. He's still a star, and Bret Hart can still go. So, and you've got Goldberg. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, then you probably still have an exceedingly competitive top end WCW picture for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And that makes the Monday Night War very different than what we ended up getting originally.
Yeah, it's true.
Just my opinion. That's kind of my thing. So I think that run was the best run. Bad ending on that run. By the time you get to the Wolfpack thing, though, now he's lost in the shuffle with everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be the way I would position it.
And how do you like him now in AEW? We're going to skip over his WWE thing because that was just a waste.
No, it was crap.
But how do you like him in AEW overall?
I think his role is fantastic, and I from what I can see the influence that I think a lot of folks are leveraging his knowledge and ability. I think he does great. He's basically like a manager who can occasionally step in and do some physicality, which is great. And it's been beneficial to Darby Allin. Darby Allin is still very strong. They were able to have, even on Rampage, they had a good match there on that one. Him and Swerve Strickland, and I thought that match was pretty good. They were both able to showcase a lot. Sting stayed out of it until basically the ending, and he was effective in that because he's still presented as a credible guy. And then when they need to put him in the ring, he can still do a couple of things here and there, but he's not wrestling all the time, which he shouldn't be. He has no reason to do that. When you use him effectively in a multi-man tag team situation. Great. And the fans still react to him. So it's like, I feel like you're getting the best of all worlds with Sting right now in his current iteration with what he can do at this time.
Yeah. You know what is unfortunate, Carlos?
There are many unfortunate things. Go on.
So I tried and was unsuccessful. I mean, I guess I could have looked harder, but in the first little bit, I wanted to find a compilation video of Tony Schiavone just saying, "It's Sting!" I don't think it exists.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
I agree.
And then the ending's got to be really high pitched because he actually kicks in the high pitch at the end of it.
It's true.
So important. But yeah, no, I agree with you. But that's why I say, like, I feel like right now it's a good run for him. It's been a great segment of his career now because now people are getting a chance to appreciate him. So now he's being treated as a legend, which is good for him. And that means you get kind of the best of all worlds with that, and the appreciation is there from the audience, so that's good. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be interesting to see how they develop that character to go along with Darby, and what they end up doing with that down the road here. Darby has a ton of potential, but they have to kind of figure out where they want to go with it. So do you want me to kind of transition now into kind of this week's episode?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So two things I want to say. First one, I'm going to harp on this because it deserves to be harped on.
All right.
For the third consecutive thing on Dynamite, we got the stare down between Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Tony freaking Storm. I was like, third time? Are you kidding me? It's like, guys, do we literally not have another way to do this?
Can we be fair for a second though, Carlos? Because I agree with you 100%. I can't not disagree with you. I mean agree with you 100%. I'm with you. But
Yep.
Tony Khan was probably a little preoccupied with the NFL draft.
Clearly. But here's the thing, like, any critique that AEW receives for the women's division, this is basically where the critique comes from. It's not a bad idea. The first time, the second time was unnecessary, but at least you added Britt Baker to it. The third time was so that you could have Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, and then Tony Storm is joined by Ruby Soho. Here's the thing. The resulting tag team match is fine. There's nothing wrong with the tag team match result we got. That's fine. But we didn't need to do 3 face-to-face interviews in a row to end up. So every time we're going to add one more person to the segment. Okay, but is that really necessary? That seems kind of stupid. Yes. Yes, it is. That way we get them all on the show and no one can complain. And on Rampage, hey Dave, I don't know if you know this, but there was a 6-woman tag. Mm-hmm. And not only that, the show was full of representation. Take
Yeah.
that, Swole. Eat it, Swole. And you know who won? 3 black women to eat it, Swole.
Wow, man, you're very anti-swole right now.
I genuinely think that was literally like I have to assume at some point in the back of somebody's mind is like, so what do we do? Well, Jade's doing really well and getting over. Okay, so what do you want to do? We'll have a baddies section, right? So we get Kira Hogan and Red Velvet. I'm with you. Okay, and then they will be the baddies. Okay, so then what happens? And then they'll win. They'll win the match, and we can like hashtag diversity. Quota met, bros. And you know what else we got? We also got Keith Lee. He won a match. Got it. Swerve Strickland. Check. Psh, I don't know what y'all are complaining about.
Or you could say that Tony Khan actually listened to Swole, and that this is the result.
I think it was overcompensating. If it had been spread out over the 2 shows, I might be more inclined. They shoehorned it onto one show. The pre-tape show is the one they shoehorned it onto. It was kind of weird. Is all I'm trying to say.
No, fair enough. I think that's a valid criticism.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Cause I think on the 2-hour show you could have snuck one of these matches in there, and I think it would have been fine. That's all I'm saying. Like that's one of those things. Like the Soul thing is just me having some fun with it because again, I think her critique, while having some valid pieces to it, was also kind of self-serving because she kind of wasn't very good, in my opinion.
Right.
So I think both can be true. I think really I wouldn't have kept her around either. But did her critiques have some validity? Yes. So both things can be true at the same time. And I think this was almost an overcompensation. But the good news, hey, look, at least now you've got a faction. You know, Jade has a faction, which, by the way, I think is a good idea for Jade. It's an evolution in her character in some way, so that it's now like, instead of just her doing out with the presentation, okay, now she's got a little bit of a faction. She's got some folks backing her up. I don't know what you're going to do then on the other side to combat that, because eventually somebody has to beat her.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't mind it. It gives Red Velvet something to do. Cool. It gives Kira Hogan something to do. Cool. I can work with this. This is fine. It's good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so those 2 pieces kind of stuck out to me. The other thing that was kind of funny, I'm trying to remember what it was. I like the Wardlow build. I like that we have now alluded to. So based on the promo from MJF. So do you know who Wardlow's next opponent is?
Yeah, I did. I cannot. Is the name coming to me right now? No, but I did pay attention. Tell me. Give me a hint.
Well, the former Big Cass. So now he's going to go by, I don't know what he's going to go by. In Impact, he was going by Morrissey, or W. Morrissey, I think. Now, I saw some of his matches from not too long ago. I assume he's going to come in looking kind of like what he did in Impact, in which case he's shredded. He's like a shredded 7-footer. So visually, I think it'll be a very impressive visual, him and Wardlow. We're getting another good old-fashioned Haas fight, Dave. Haas fight of the week.
We like our Haas fights.
Yeah, so I think so that'll be good.
And thank God it's him and not Enzo. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. He can talk, but I don't need him for the situation. The situation right now, I just need an uninterrupted Haas fight, and I think everybody wins.
Hopefully, you will get your uninterrupted Haas fight.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Now, the only thing though is that you got a shredded 7-footer who looks the part because he's got himself in shape. So and he was having some substance abuse problems, I believe, and he's been having a good run right now. He's been keeping himself clean, so this is good. So it'll look good. I don't know if they'll keep him around, maybe to be as part of the faction with MJF and those guys. So that could be interesting. But I think now after this one, unless you've got somebody else lined up, I don't know who you could have at that point. I think after this week is now when we start making the move towards setting up that MJF Wardlow fight.
Right.
So I think we're closing in on that. I think that's the next logical step for that.
I'm thinking they're saving that for pay-per-view, though.
No, but the thing is, you need the precipitating event. You can still have something that leads into, all right, you know what, you guys are going to settle this at the pay-per-view. So like you can still, just because the pay-per-view isn't next week, doesn't mean you can't set up a match for the pay-per-view and then maybe do a pull apart, a contract signing. Like you've got things you can do in the meantime.
All the things you can do.
Correct. So that's what I mean. Like, I just don't want you to keep dragging it out, though, because right now Wardlow is getting a beautiful reaction. The reaction is working very well. So all good there. You want to actually start setting up the next logical phase of this thing.
No, I would say honestly, probably all things in, Wardlow is probably the Wardlow build, the storyline right now is the best thing that AEW is doing currently.
I think so. Yeah. It's been the most consistent. It's been doing a good job. kind of the other ones though still have potential, but they're going to have to really think through what they want to do. I'm just pulling up the results so I have them in front of me. Other interesting thing, Scorpio Sky winning the TNT Championship for the second time. I think I'm good with it, but now I think he needs to have a couple of title defenses. Hashtag diversity. Eat it, swole. Eat it, swole. I'm joking. I'm joking. Sorry, semi-joking.
Are you though, Carlos? Are you?
But come on, you got to admit it's kind of funny.
It is. Well, yeah.
It's like, how convenient. Wait a minute. Excuse me, sir. How long have you been here? I've been working here for years. Excellent. Come here, young lad. Time for you to win a championship. I was the first tag team champion. Whatever. Get over here.
It matters not what you were.
That is correct. That is correct. But no, I did enjoy Dynamite. So, and by the way, I'm completely good with Scorpio Sky being the TTA champion, but he's going to have to work on the interviews are actually quite good. But I need him to have a logical next step. I need him to have a logical, like, what he's going to do now. And I'm actually fine with Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti being this annoying heel couple. That's actually fine. If you just lean into it and that's what you're going to do it. It actually works. Scorpio Sky, though, I got to figure out, like, he's got the title now. Fine. Let's do some defenses. Fine. And we'll figure it out from there. But now we need to carve a path out for Scorpio Sky, and his second championship should be more successful than his first. I think that would be the right move now. And I don't mind the way you did it, but now that he's got it again, let him hold it for a while. Let him have some defenses, and that'll be the best for all involved. Serena Deeb and Shida, I liked well enough for what it was. I'm glad, hopefully now we get Serena Deeb and Shida away from each other. The only thing that concerns me is what I mentioned before. Now Serena Deeb is being lined up as the next logical challenger for Thunder Rosa, because Thunder Rosa was watching it in the back, was like nodding approval. So I think those two make sense. We got here faster than I wanted to, because if you remember, I advocated for Nyla Rose having a couple of kicks at the can before failing and then dropping off so that Serena Deeb could take over. So like we got where I expected us to get to. I hope you've got this figured out, because I would like to see it. And also, Serena Deeb took a hell of a shot on one of the eyes and got a nice big shine.
I saw that on Instagram. She posted it on Instagram.
Yeah. I think she'll be fine, but because you can give her a couple of weeks to heal up before you get into a match with those two. So that's fine. That's okay. But you got to be careful, because right now Serena Deeb is doing really well. I like the way she's been positioned. She's one of the few real heels you have. So I would love to see Statlander become a heel with the new persona that she's working on, and maybe you can build her up so that by the time Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa are done, then you've got another challenger for Thunder Rosa. I would like to see it done that way. That's still my opinion on that piece.
Yeah.
So the potential's still there. I can still see it, but you're going to have to line it up. Right now, the women's division needs to be lined up and built in a certain way. And you can do it, and you do have the roster people available. And right now, Toni Storm is kind of distracted a little bit. You've got the tournament going on, so that's keeping some of the women busy. But you still got to keep Thunder Rosa semi-active. You got to have her out there defending the title once in a while. That way it'll help her title run.
Yeah, for sure.
So that'll be interesting. That'll be fun.
Because she has not really been involved. Like, I wonder if she might be injured.
It could be, but at the same time, I just don't think they literally don't have that many women who have been positioned to actually be able to compete with her consistently.
Yeah. Well, did you see what Becky Lynch said about the women's division in AEW this week?
I did, and thank you for mentioning. I did want to bring it up briefly here. I understand the company element of it, but I do find it funny that Becky Lynch, of all people, bringing it up. I was like, I can't think of anybody who's been more uninspiring than Becky Lynch in her current run. She's basically a ripoff of Seth Rollins' gimmick without the Messiah thing. Hey, what's the gimmick? Being really arrogant, being kind of psychotic, and wearing stupid outfits. Okay, you both do that. So what's the difference? Well, Seth Rollins thought he was a Messiah for a while. Cool, yeah, he also had a mini faction. So does that mean Becky Lynch gets a faction and she becomes their Messiah? Is that the deal? Because she's already ripping off everything else Seth Rollins already did. What else you got? Ooh.
You got a lot of Becky Lynch hate, eh?
It's not Becky Lynch hate. It's that, like, since she has been back, she hasn't done anything remotely interesting. And she's the one out doing interviews, like, trying to talk up their division. It's like, your division kind of sucks too. And you're at the head of it. So when WWE women get TV time, you're counting, I assume, your droning promos where you say nothing of substance, right? You're counting that, right? I assume that's part of the airtime you're talking about. Oh, so I guess I should tell a couple of the AEW, hey, could you go out and babble for 10 minutes and say nothing of substance? Sure. Great, we'll count it to TV time.
Do you have a favorite woman in WWE? Like, what do you think WWE is doing well with their women right now?
Well, with the women,
Yeah. Anything?
not really. No. Bianca Belair is probably their best prospect that they've tried to build up, but my original critique comes from the way she was presented when Becky Lynch initially came back. Because if you remember, I was very critical of the way they did that. Becky Lynch did this real quick. I'll give you the summary version. They did this whole thing where I think it was supposed to be Sasha Banks. It was supposed to be a rematch with Sasha Banks for the title, which would have been an excellent match, by the way. They had a great match at WrestleMania. They were doing well.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks is probably their highlight in that entire women's division WWE. But right now she's stuck doing a tag team championship run with Naomi,
Yeah,
which is fine.
seriously.
Which is fine and dandy. But just to be clear, Sasha Banks is probably their best wrestler aside from Bayley. Okay,
Who's injured?
and yeah, who's injured, who did a great job when she had a good solid run with the title. But again, this is pandemic time, so she had no audience to play to. So she was doing the best she could. She basically was in the Drew McIntyre situation where you're the champion when there's nobody to play to.
Yeah.
You're doing the best you can, and she was actually doing a good job. It's just nobody physically got to see it. People got to see it on TV. But when she recovers, she'll be back eventually, which is fine. But the tag team championship in WWE means nothing. It's a waste of everybody's time. Let's put it this way. Becky Lynch's whole argument is based on the idea that, quote unquote, they're treated better because they get more airtime. Yeah, okay, fine. If I want to make a meaningless championship and throw you out on TV to defend a meaningless championship, I guess we could. Who cares? The match means nothing. The title means nothing. This is a waste of everyone's time. But at least they're on TV. Hit the clock. Okay, count it. Cool. And the counter critique has been thrown out there. They had a Queen of the Ring tournament. Like most of the matches, I think somebody added up like a bunch of the matches, and total TV ring time was under 15 minutes for like 6 or 7 matches.
Wow.
One AEW women's match sometimes goes 10 or 15 minutes. There's no comparison. Yeah, if you get TV time, it's because you get extended promos. And the TV time you're counting is you and Charlotte Flair eating up airtime babbling. That does not mean the division's better. That just means you're getting airtime. You got 5 hours a week to kill. So yeah, I'm sure they found some airtime for you at hour 3 when no one's watching.
Please, Raw's at its best at hour 3, Carlos. Come on.
Clearly. So anyway, so Sasha Banks to me is still at the top of the division as far as quality of work, but she's stuck in a tag team program. Who cares? When she made a return, Bianca Belair was made to look like an idiot because first you do the fake out with Carmella. She comes down to the ring and it looks like you're gonna have a match. Becky Lynch comes out. The crowd reacts. Great. The WWE crowd at this point is conditioned that these people are stars. I don't think they are, but the crowd is conditioned to react accordingly. Fair enough. But here's the reality. She had like 45 minutes to come to the damn ring. Dispatch Carmella because she's trash, even though she's a multi-time champion of your supposedly prestigious title. One of your 2 prestigious titles. And then she challenges Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair's only had 3 days. She could have read War and Peace in the time that Becky Lynch came down to the ring and dispatched Carmella. Are you not ready for a match? Oh, I'm ready for a match. Punch. Manhandle slam. 1, 2, 3. Less than 30 seconds. Dominant title reign, eviscerated. She won the title back. Who cares? You're not going to undo the first impression of what I saw was you losing in under 30 seconds, and nothing has changed to make your situation better. Bianca Belair should be a bigger star than she is. Rhea Ripley should be a bigger star than she is. She heel turned. Ooh. Oh no, she's feuding with Liv Morgan. Should I care now or care later? When should I
think you
start
should
caring?
care later, Carlos.
Yeah, it's not happening for me. So Becky Lynch, I think, is towing the company line, which is fine, that she's doing her job. But there's no argument here. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue that AEW has done their women's division favors because I just critiqued the sequencing and the different way they've... Like 3 straight face-to-face confrontations in an interview for the same people, which is stupid. The match will be fine. But if it was, how we got there was really dumb. Like I said, Sheeta Deeb was fine. And it sets us up for what will be, I think, a compelling little title program with Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. I'm good with that. I'm hoping there's some character development with Christy Atlanta that then leads to her being a credible foil for Thunder Rosa. That would be good for everybody involved. There's still the opportunity. I would like to see Toni Storm come back around and potentially be a contender for one of these titles, and that could be interesting. That would be good. I'd like to see Ruby Soho brought back into the mix. I'm glad that she's involved in this because at least it puts her back in the mix.
Yeah.
And Britt Baker's always hovering around. She's probably the best developed character in the women's division. Jade is rapidly growing to be one of the stronger characters in the division. Great. And she's got a faction. Great. So this is good. So far so good. Jamie Hayter is has super potential. Like, you've got the pieces. You actually could do quite a bit, even if you don't pick up anybody else. But there are a few available talents that could actually help bolster your division.
Yeah.
So, like, the potential is there. Like, let's put it this way. I would still favor the AEW presentation a little bit, but I agree that they're lacking in some storyline depth. But WWE's storyline, my big thing is Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair did not have a storyline. She talks about stories. What was the story? The story is you beat her under 30 seconds and then you guys kept feuding for a while. You said some mean things about her. Why are we feuding other than for the title? That's not a story. What's the story? Becky Lynch, she's big time Bex. What does that mean? Oh, she thinks she's a star. Why? And now Becky Lynch is going to be feuding with Asuka. And I checked out the social media thing. People are like, oh man, great, Asuka's back. Cool. Do you remember what Asuka and Becky Lynch's last interaction was prior to this?
No.
Becky Lynch was going on maternity leave. She didn't drop the title at WrestleMania prior to that when she probably should have. She didn't. They did a Money in the Bank thing. Asuka won the Money in the Bank thing. It looked like she was going to challenge Becky Lynch for it, but Becky Lynch was pregnant, so she handed Asuka the title. All this time later, well, now they're going to revisit this rivalry. That's not a rivalry. By the way, there's no title involved anymore. What's Asuka want to even deal with Becky Lynch? Who cares about Becky Lynch? She doesn't have the title. It actually makes no sense. You want to talk about story? This literally makes no sense. Who cares?
I would love for you to be in a WWE, like a room of WWE creative, and just say that and see what would happen.
Yeah, but like, you could have done this with Becky Lynch having the title and then be able to pull back the footage and, hey, this is the match we were denied previously. That would make sense to me. We've got the footage. We can actually pull it. Right now, it's like, oh, the last time they faced off, this match wasn't able to happen. Cool. Who gives a fuck about this match? What difference does it make? Who cares who wins?
It will be stupendous, like WrestleMania.
Yeah, but like, I'm being serious. Like, who cares? Why does Asuka need this match?
The WWE fans who have been conditioned to think that their stars care.
That's the thing, though. Asuka wasn't treated like a star. My challenge would be, she literally was handed the title, and my challenge then to the WWE person would be simply this. Seriously, my challenge would be, okay, cool. So she was handed the title. How long was the reign? I don't have the answer, by the way, but I would ask them, how long was the reign? Who'd she defend it against? What happened with it? Do you remember? Does anybody remember? Must have not mattered then. Do these same people know that Rhea Ripley was a multi-time champion? Does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember that Charlotte Flair won a Money in the Bank, showed up on NXT for no reason, challenged Rhea Ripley in a match, and then won the NXT Women's Championship, even though it doesn't count anymore? It's not counted for her title reigns because NXT doesn't matter. They did that. They wasted a Money in the Bank contract poll, or it was either that or Royal Rumble, I forget. She wasted one of her opportunities to challenge a champion on a title that does not mean anything anymore. That's WWE. That's your women's division. Stories. Tell me more about these stories. Suck it, Swole! That has nothing to do with it, but I just thought it was appropriate.
That was good. That was a good way to come back to it.
Yeah, it was. I had to bring it back. Again, this isn't meant to be mean to Swole. Like, I hope she does well. I wish her the best. But it just made me laugh the whole thing. But anyway, so yeah, I was like, I don't know, guys. I have nothing. I got nothing. So anyway, fine, whatever. Again, like I said, I wish Swole the best. Hopefully she does well. But when it comes to these women's divisions, AEW can do better, 100%. I agree with that 1,000%. But WWE is not running on all cylinders, man. They're not running on all cylinders. They're in a very bad state. Most of their titles are irrelevant. Most of their feuds are irrelevant. And they're trying to squeeze significance out of it. Like, look, at this point, you've got maybe more TV time because of having more showtime to put these women on. But most of the time means nothing. I could cut those matches and no one would notice. Who cares? Everything is style and sizzle over substance. Becky Lynch gets a big entrance, this whole theatrical thing. but who cares? The WWE fans that are conditioned to cheer for this no matter what bullshit it is, they care.
Hey
Great.
man, you watch it Raw, whatever. She's over. I mean, they cheer whenever she comes out.
Yeah, but at this point, they'll cheer for almost anybody. Like a lot of the folks get reaction to it. At this point, they're conditioned. It's the Roman Reigns thing. He was put in the main event 100 times before he deserved it. At this point, yep, great. Becky Lynch is a multi-time women's champion. Yep. I can't remember 3/4 of her title reigns. Charlotte Flair is like a 14-time women's champion. Does anybody remember most of them? No. But she's positioned to being right at the top of the card. By the way, did you guys know Ronda Rousey's back? Oh, I almost forgot. Who cares? She's there too. You've got all these stars and nobody can remember any of them.
So
But they're on TV.
What is something you really care about then in wrestling, Carlos, or should care about?
What do you mean?
Like a storyline. Like what's something that's going on right now in any promotion other than Wardlow?
I was gonna say that was going really well.
Because that's as far as I'm concerned, that is the number one storyline in wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Other than that, what should we really care about?
The Blackpool Combat Club. I want some more. I want some more Steven Regal. I'm enjoying what those guys are doing, and I'd be very interested to see if they eventually go down the path of stacking a bunch of gold on the members.
What do you mean stacking a bunch of gold?
Because they can win the tag team championship.
Oh,
if they
I
introduce the
sorry,
trios championship, they could stack a bunch. They could actually stack a bunch of titles very quickly in a short order if they focus their attention on that. Right now, they're just having feature matches to beat people up, but I could see it being right now. A lot of things are sitting on the trios championship. A lot of those things are sitting on that trios championship because there's a lot of trios teams that already kind of exist that are just looking for an outlet. Because don't forget, Ray Phoenix is back, so now he, Penta, and Pac, they've reinstituted Death Triangle. So you've got yet another trios team back intact.
So we got, let's see, so you got that, and then you got the House of Black.
House of Black, the Blackpool Combat Club.
Mm-hmm.
You've technically got, let me think here.
Are we going to bring back Marco Stunt to Jurassic Express?
No, but you can have Christian be part of that. You can have Christian be part of it.
You
Yeah, Christian with
Christian with
Luchasaurus.
Stunt near any wrestling ring.
No, I think his contract is being allowed to expire. Christian, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy would be a very formidable trios team. They would be a good, strong trios team, solid in the ring as well.
All right, so there's four. We're at four now.
Yeah, you could put together a combination with the Jericho Appreciation Society. You can pick Jericho and any two members. You got another one set there for you. You've got Pinnacle has enough members to be able to do that if they want to do that. QT Marshall has a couple of guys that he could do because they literally did a trios one with him, QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Camarano.
Yeah,
they'd be more of the young guys, but they could do that.
they could do the Gun Club.
You could do the Gun Club. Yep, 100%. So
yeah, we're upwards of like 8 now. Trios teams.
And if you give, if he's going to remain with them, you could occasionally have, what's it called? What's his name? With Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, if you get them one more guy, the Men of the Year could have their own trios faction very easily.
What's the UFC guy that's with them?
The manager's name is the one that is escaping me. That's the one I was trying to remember.
Dan Lambert.
Thank you, Dan Lambert. If Dan Lambert gets them one more guy, they could have a trios team.
Yeah. Well, no, but don't they have like Junior Santos or something with them?
Yeah. But I'm thinking like a wrestler. I'm thinking like if they get themselves like.
Speaking of that, are we going to see Paige Van Zandt wrestle? Is she going to wrestle?
Mm-hmm. She's training. Yeah, right now she's involved. Like she's doing like she was involved in that ladder match. A little bit too much shenanigans involved in that ladder match. Again, they over-engineered it a little bit. But Sammy, I saw an excellent point that was made though, and I thought it was a good one. A couple of the pillar guys seem to have special matches that they seem to be the only ones who tend to do them for the most of our part. Sammy Guevara has started to kind of carve his niche with the ladder matches. Mm-hmm. Darby Allin with the coffin match, and there was one more gimmick match that I remember was being used pretty regularly. Oh, Adam Hangman Page in the Texas Death Match.
Right.
So, like, specifically, those guys tend to lean on those matches as their big feud blow-off kind of match. Which is actually not a bad idea. It's kind of with Darby Allin, the coffin match makes sense. I'm with it. With Sammy Guevara, he likes to do crazy things off ladders. That's not a bad shtick for him to get into if that's his deal. Don't do it all the time, but as a blow off to like, okay, we're gonna compete with each other. You know what? We're doing a ladder match. Great, sounds
Yeah.
good. And also Hammond Page with the Texas Death Match. He's good at that brawling style, so why not?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm good with that. I think it's a good gimmick for them. I also find it amusing that they are really being good with using the ROH Championship. Now, one more thing, actually, I'll mention this, and then we can finish off with it whatever you want. I do appreciate and I do
Okay.
enjoy that coming up this next week. Speaking of that women's division, we're going to get the title unification match with Deonna Purrazzo.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
we
so
are.
Deonna Purrazzo and Mercedes Martinez, that's going to be fun. I think that'll be a fun match. A good introduction to Deonna Purrazzo to the AEW audience because she's actually quite good. She's actually very good. She's more of a technical style. So I think Serena Deeb and her will be like kind of that thing. If it's a situation where they're able to have her around a little bit, honestly, Deonna Purrazzo would be an amazing addition to that roster because you got one more heel, technical style wrestler who could be there and disrupt some of the things going on. And Britt Baker is really close friends with her. So I think they would love to have a dream match or be a faction or do something. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that could be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential. Let me throw this scenario at you. It's out of left field, but it would be kind of fun.
All right.
If you're not going to have them compete against each other, Deonna Purrazzo is, like I said, is really good friends with Britt Baker. Now, if they wanted to do a thing where Jamie Hayter eventually breaks off from Britt Baker, a simple way to do it would be if she starts getting a good reaction for some matches. Again, I would feature her then if you wanted to do that. Britt Baker gets jealous, and she and Deonna Purrazzo take out Jamie Hayter, start up a little mini feud, and Jamie Hayter turns face.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But you'd have another good, solid heel who can also talk a little bit on the microphone to go with Britt Baker as a good, solid heel. And then you've got like a two-woman power trip kind of deal, similar to the two-man power trip back in the day. And they could
Yeah.
get a couple of titles together. They could do some shenanigans and become and steal Jade's TBS championship.
Ooh.
Again, this is just me fantasy booking, but like I could build that storyline in Tony Khan. Get Tony Khan on the phone. I could build this storyline and give you something where the titles suddenly you've got these two women who are in cahoots who have both those titles.
Yeah.
Think about it.
No, I'm thinking about it. I'm liking it, Carlos.
There are ways we can make this compelling. And here, how many women did I have to add to the roster? I just theoretically added one who you are going to feature in a match here. I didn't have to go out of left field. I literally
Yeah.
just took something you already had potentially right in front of your face. I presented it to you, and it's like, okay, now you got everybody else chasing these two. I like it. Now, here's one more for you. If you really want to lose your mind and go nuts.
Oh boy.
If they go with the Chris Statlander heel turn and you want to delay her competing for one of these championships, you could have them align with the evil Chris Statlander. And now you've got yourself a women's trios combination. Again, now you got a little mini faction that now Jade and the baddies have to compete with, and these other ones all have to kind of gang up and get a group together because you got Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. Maybe after the rivalry, they team up with Jamie Hayter to take on this evil faction.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm giving you 100 pats, man. We can take the same roster and I can give you 100 pats and give a bunch of women something to do. Immediately
Yeah.
give them something to do.
I like it, Carlos.
Eat it, swole!
Honestly, I like, I love giving credit where credit is due. I also love giving you credit too, because I think you should be working for a wrestling promotion.
Yeah, but some of this stuff is easy. Like, what's embarrassing is how long did it take me? I'm not joking. I didn't think about it before this conversation, but I just sat there and go, yeah, well, you could combine these two. This makes sense, and then you can just here you go. Use what you got. I didn't go like. By the way, I'm not even talking about Athena yet. I'm not talking about Tegan Knox yet. They're out there. You could get them if you wanted them, and you could then mix up and add some more combinations very
Yeah.
easily. And they've got experience, so at least you're getting experienced people into this mix. There are possibilities. There's potential. The men's division, for the most part, is pretty fleshed out. You just got to figure out where you want to slot everybody. And I didn't even talk about CM Punk's path, collision course with Hangman Page,
Yeah.
which could be compelling and it could set up something interesting. Because I could see Punk finding a way to win and becoming heel Punk. And then all of a sudden you got heel pipe bomb Punk with a whole series of potential challengers.
Yeah, man.
Just saying, a lot of possibilities, man.
I like honestly, Carlos, I'm in.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
yeah. But that's why I say like I reject summarily Becky Lynch's thing, company line or not. Right now, your division is in shambles. The supposed stars you have mean nothing. The grudge matches you've got mean nothing because you've devalued almost everybody on that roster. Even if they get a reaction, it's they get a reaction because they're these guys who just oogle at these women. That's the only reason they're cheering because they've been presented as sucking, and they've been sucking for so long they don't matter. None of them matter.
Yeah.
But keep cheering them, buy their shirts, do all this stuff. I have no issue with that. Like no problem there. But at the same time, it's like, well, what do you want me to do with this? Because it's like you're not going to take Lick Morgan seriously. Rhea Ripley was botched for a while, so like, what you're not going to be able to turn that around in a day. It would be an active rehab assignment you have to build her up for like 3 or 4 months of being dominant to try to undo all this damage you've done for months and months and months and months and months and maybe 2 years. It's hard work to build somebody back up after you've left them down there like that. In
Yeah.
AEW, we got that. I like Lance Archer, but I couldn't make him a legitimate title contender right now without a concerted effort. And it would probably take me I'd basically be like, I can make him a title contender. You're going to have to give me about 6 months, and I'm going to have to put him on TV all the time killing people. Because I can't give him like 2 wins in a row. I have to do 6 months of him killing guy after guy after guy. And I also have to do something where like Jake maybe takes him in the back. We do some vignettes of him like retraining and refocusing. I'm giving him a reason for suddenly being better where he's missed a bunch of opportunities. And then he spends 6 months killing people. And then you can make him a guy again. And then you could put him up against in a title match and people will be like, okay, I get that. Like I don't think he's lost a match in 6 months. Okay, now it makes sense, right? I'm seeing him all the time and he's winning and winning and winning and winning and winning.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to show people. You got to show them and be like, hey, this guy's turning it around. He's got this big winning streak going. Like he's killing guys. Yes, that's how you do it. Otherwise, they'll do it for like a month. Like they say, the WWE model is, oh, do it for a month and then they're in the title picture. So-and-so is now facing Roman Reigns. Isn't Roman Reigns the guy who's killing everybody? Yeah, but this guy's won like 6 matches in a row. Cool. He must be a very viable challenger.
Well, that's the problem is they don't have a real legitimate contender for Roman Reigns.
And that's why I say, so out of WWE, who is better protected? Who is higher up on the mountaintop? Who is stronger than Roman Reigns?
No one.
And yet he has no legitimate competitors. And this is the top of your mountain. This is the best you got. In the women's division, you don't have anybody at that caliber.
The Rock's coming back, Carl, so The Rock will challenge him.
That's how desperate they are. And I can imagine The Rock getting hurt in that match somehow. And then a bunch of movie companies are like, you're never doing this again. Just so you know that.
I really hope it doesn't happen.
I would rather it didn't. Like, it'd be better for them.
I feel like it could have, if it happened a few years ago, like, I think, sure, it could have been, you know what I mean? But I really feel that time has passed. They had that opportunity. It didn't work for whatever reason, and let's move on with our lives.
It's better for the company if they don't ever go there because it forces them to have to figure out something else. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they're able to do that, but it would be better for them if they did.
It's okay. You know what's going to happen, Carlos, eventually. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and the crowd goes mild. It'll be very exciting.
You're talking about, man, the biggest mistake Tony Khan ever made was letting him go, Carlos.
It's true. It'll be very exciting when an AEW mid-carder becomes WWE champion. Mid-card for life. Suck it, swole.
I'm sorry, can we, because I feel like maybe this podcast will actually get some viewers. If you
I'm not putting that in the title. It's become my slogan for the episode. I think it would be too. I think that would be just clickbait. No, it's true that I threw it in there. Just even if it doesn't make sense, it's like, how does that make any sense?
Well, I mean, it does. It's not like it's completely out of context.
It's mostly out of context. You
could
could
talk about Tony Khan pandering with putting every match, in one night.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know if he was specifically doing it. I just found it funny. It just seemed like a funny coincidence to me. That, by the way, it's also been months and months and months. So if he was going to do the pandering, it might have made more sense to do it months ago. I just found it hilariously funny. It was like, just specifically this show, I was like, huh. All right. By the way, like I made the joke previously, but ironically, the irony is that the AEW Women's Championship, for the most part, has probably been the most diverse title in any of the companies.
Yeah.
Because the first champion was a very tiny Japanese woman, followed by a transgender native woman, followed by right after that, I think it was
Sorry, who
Hikaru
is the
Shida,
transgender native woman?
Nyla Rose.
Oh, I didn't know she was transgender.
And that is testament to how good the job they've done of not pandering to it.
Yeah.
Think about it. But then Hikaru Shida, another Japanese woman who had a good long run. Britt Baker is the first white woman to have won that title, and then a Mexican woman, Thunder Rosa.
Yep.
That is an exceedingly diverse list of champions. Like, what else do you want? And by the way, I think Jade Cargill, if she keeps honing her wrestling, I could see her being a champion not long down the road.
Yeah.
She's got a
I don't see
championship,
why
and I'm talking
not.
about like the big championship. I could see her being a contender for that not long down the road. Not right now. Don't do it now, but I could see her. She eventually drops that title, the TBS championship, and then moves on to the Big Fish, and becomes that champion.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, she's about as good a candidate as anybody else, and she's been built the right way, and she's moving in that direction. I could see her 100% being in that spot. But that's why I say, like, technically, if we look through the list of champions, that is probably the literally most diverse championship list we got.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of the way that I would look at it. That's why I say, like, you can critique. Like I said, like this whole joke was that I don't disagree with the critique. I just feel like it's disingenuous coming from the source that it came from, in the timing that it came from, right after they had a falling out. But it is a valid. There are valid critiques in there at the same time.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So it's like both can be true. Both can be true. We can give credit and also kind of adapt accordingly and understand that portion of it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Good times. Good stuff. Anything else, sir?
Actually, I will ask you one question, Carlos.
Sure.
And then I will answer the same question for you. Is there any particular autograph? It doesn't have to be wrestling. Mine is, but anything that particular autograph that you don't have that you would like to add to your collection?
An autograph. Okay, so repeat the parameters again. Sorry. An autograph.
So any autograph of any, like a sport autograph.
Okay.
That you would like to add to your collection that you currently don't have.
Frank Thomas.
Nice.
I'm a big 90s slugger guy. I like, I added a Griffey. I put it up on my Instagram this week. Today actually. I added a Griffey on card autograph, which is good. And I want to add, Frank Thomas there. And there's probably a handful of other 90s sluggers that I would look at. And that would be like probably the angle that I would take on that.
Cool.
Yeah, so that'd be about answer to that one.
So for me, I would like to get it. Well, I'm getting a Sting one. That was my big one, so that's happening. But now the the wrestling ones that I would really like to get that I don't have, JR and CM Punk.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable.
So we shall see.
Yep, sounds good. So that'll be it for us this time around. You can you can send all your your swole, defense to at DJTI art, UArt. Send it there. That's the correspondence. That's where we'll direct all inquiries.
Can you imagine if all of a sudden now I get a whole bunch more followers, but it's all just hate because of Big Swole?
Yeah, that's why I'm directed to you. I'm not dealing with that shit.
I'd be okay with it. I'd take it.
It's like, I stand by what I said. It was funny. It was all very funny. Anyway, podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your thing. Otherwise, this week, the video was kind of failing for Dave. So that's why I kind of had him go to audio only mode. And actually, we've had no hiccups since then. So
it worked. It worked.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're going to have to get your fourth world internet bumped up. Like, what the hell, man?
And supposedly it's supposed to be bumped up. I'm going to have to do some speed tests because when we got the internet with the TV through the internet now, right? That our speed was supposed to double. So
maybe the solution here is to hardwire. It's gonna have to be a hardwire, I think.
I know, but then I have to go to a different room.
Look, what do you want from me?
I know.
Fourth
but
world.
This way, the viewers get just you on YouTube. The gestures are twice as big when it's just you.
It's huge. Good times. Anyway, that's it for us. We'll catch you in the next one on the next episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast.